Hello, it is I, the ASMR Yeti. I thought today I would do something different, and as a creative industries student, I have been doing a lot of creative writing for my course, and I really enjoy it. And one of my favourite ASMR type of videos is when someone softly reads their own stories, and you can close your eyes, lie down in your bed, close your eyes in the dark, and listen to the story and picture what's happening. So I've got quite a few different short stories that I thought I'd read for you today. And bear in mind, I wrote them and they were submitted for assessment or practices at college. And I would love to hear what you think about them in the comments. And be honest as well, if there is something I could have done better, let me know. And so the first one is called The Day I Died. And this is a very interesting one because the lecturer gave us a few details that we had to include. So we had to include either a airport or graveyard setting, or both, a small pilot, someone with a fear of flying, and an urn, and lastly, switch suitcases. So, bear in mind when you read this that I had to feature all of those different scenarios or settings or characters, and that's why the story is very strange. But I do like the way it came out. So, I won't always be looking into the camera because I'll be reading off of a Word document, but it will be in this general direction, so it won't be too far off. Hopefully it doesn't distract you. And I'll do a mixture of whispers and soft spoken, and hopefully it'll sound good. Okay, so this is called The Day I Died. November 20th, 2016 was the day I decided to die. I remember it like it was yesterday. The musky smell of fake tan as a group of lads sat at the table opposite me in the airport lounge to start their flawless day drinking plan in a clear attempt to annoy every man, woman and child on the flight. Knowing I had the wrong suitcase was the least stressful of all events that day. The Frodo Baggins-sized pilot, who was failing to calm me down despite her tireless efforts, wore a hideous shade of blue on her eyes reserved only for mortuary makeup artists. Her sickly perfume choked me like a frayed noose. Oh, to death. My fear of flying isn't irrational. There were 7 plane crashes last year. That's 7 too many. It was the woman with the urn, Charlie, that I will definitely never forget. I always wanted someone to cry over me like I saw Charlie crying that day. She clutched the urn with deep, sorrowful passion. She loved the pile of ashes more than my own mother loved my fleshy, living self. No one would miss me. No one would even notice, and no one would care. I'm an ugly meat sack of hate and angst, or at least I was. I found out later that the pile of ashes was her late husband, Derek. He died after a 1.5-year long battle with lung cancer. Pretty sad, I guess. Something about her life appealed to me. Sure, she was a widow, but she wasn't me. Sad, ugly, Ivy Jones. And that's appealing. I didn't even fly that day. The fears swallowed me up, but not boarding the plane was the best decision of my life and my death. I knew one day that my obsessive people watching will result in something worthwhile, and how right I was. Charlie, being a simple woman with simple taste, had the same blue suitcase with baby pink stripes on it as me. A fussy woman with an unfussy gran that thinks I still love the colours blue and pink, despite being nearly 30. So, like any self-hating individual, I did the old switcheroo and watched to make sure she took my case, and then I ran for the hills, literally. Living in LA has its perks: sun, sea, and the sweet smell of a new life. I'm not a criminal or anything. I just took her name and left mine behind. Forever. Honestly, Charlie Montgomery, 30-year-old widow to Derek, dog mum to a semi-aggressive Pomeranian, and head of sales at Walgreens, has a pretty fantastic life. No crackhead mom, absent dad, mentally abusive boyfriend with bad breath. Just me, my dog, and the unsuspecting city of the stars. The day I died was the best day of my life. So, that's the day I died. One of the first stories that we created, and definitely the most, well, I was going to say the most strange of them all, but definitely not the most strange of them all. The next one, I'll just find for you. So this one is called Letter to Soldier. So it's just a small task that we had to do at the very beginning of the year, and you just had to write a letter to a soldier in whatever way you wanted, but really short. It couldn't be long. And I decided to put a spin on mine, so here goes. It's really short. So, Dear comrade, I write to you with an understanding of what you went through. Every day my boots meet the dry sand, and in their exchange a dust cloud that later reveals the mark of me, the mark of a soldier, the mark of a killer. Times have changed, and being a female on the battlefield is widely accepted, if not invited, though it doesn't make it any easier. The repetition that is war is something we all say we want to end, but no one ever tries to end it. Our lives are just another lost statistic of history. The difference in our deployment is that you were forced to fight and I was not. When I want to quit, I can. I do. I'm not a killer. I'm not a hero. At the end of the day, I leave the battlefield, say goodbye to my squad, and return to my life. I'm not a prisoner of time or a warrior for my country. I choose to fight your fight from the comfort that is my home. With the click of a button, I'm no longer a soldier. And to you, I'm grateful for that. That one was recorded more than once because I kept saying every do, I just said it, every do, my meat's boot. I kept saying that over and over again, so maybe one day I'll have enough clips at the end to make a reel of all my mistakes. So the next one we wrote, and I'm trying to do them in order of when we wrote them, so that you can potentially see me progressing in my writing. However, I can't fully remember, so I'll try and do it properly. Okay, the next one is a lot longer, but not too much longer. It's called The Walk, and this is based on my own thoughts when I walk to the gym, but with some creative flair. And it's somewhat of a inner monologue type writing, and I'm just gonna start and you can tell me what you think. Okay. I hate leg day. You'd think that after 23 years of walking, my legs wouldn't need to go through hell every Wednesday afternoon. What kind of idiot pays £300 a month to sweat and feel weak? This kind of idiot. This idiot leaves the house with exactly the correct amount of time to walk to the gym and not a second to spare. So, on top of the horrendous hour I am deliberately paying myself to go through, I'm going to have the worst burn in my legs just from the walkover. Oh, and that won't stop David from forcing me to pedal as fast as I possibly can on the worst creation known to gym goers, the air bike. The world doesn't have enough disgusting cardio machines for personal trainers to inflict their clients upon. So, I know, I'll invent a static bike that uses only body force and destroys all motivations, progress, and normal heartbeats in under 1 minute. Genius. Now, not only am I running late, sore, and sweaty, but it's starting to rain. Perfect. This is exactly what I envisioned when I signed up for personal training. My boyfriend's red lever's hoodie that's far too small for my gigantic stomach and man shoulders is now soaking from the perfectly timed rain, and therefore my frown more prominent. At this point, my face is as red as the hoodie. The only distinguishable difference between us is that I don't have Glenrothes High School Brady written across my forehead. David will love this. He's going to give me the speech of how I'll feel better after lifting some heavy weights, and how exercise cures the mind, and blah, blah, blah. I'm so over it. Nothing is going well today. And why am I listening to this song again? I used to like hearing the Hamilton soundtrack, especially non-stop, but Sean made sure to change that. His constant obsession with playing the same songs over and over and over again is going to drive me to committing crimes so colourful they are comprehensively commemorated by killers. Let's put on some heavy, sad music. Why starve the soul of even more darkness? Besides, I always say listening to sad or angry music when you feel sad or angry is an effective way of feeling better. More so than picking up a heavy thing and putting it back down again. How fun! Not that I can even lift anything heavy today anyway. My arms are still like jelly from the last PT session. And besides, who needs muscles anyway? I don't. The only reason people go to the gym is to look good for Instagram, or to make the boys stare when you overly extend your stretch, making your gluteus maximus visible to all, or to find a potential partner for procreation. But I already have a partner, so why do I care? I don't. For some reason, he loves me for the elephant I am. If he was to go to the gym with me, however, he'd certainly see that I am nothing but a fat blob amidst a sea of sculpted perfection. His love for me is there purely because he has no idea what he's missing. The moment he finds out, I'll be single and fat. More reason to eat pizza and nachos for breakfast. No number of Turkish get-ups, pulse squats, burpees, bicycle crunches, and Romanian deadlifts are going to melt away the foamy yellow fat that lives next to my belly button from excessive pizza binges and one too many Trek bars. I might as well just quit whilst I'm ahead. Failure is my nature. Of course, I did pay £300, so I'm not going to do that. I can't have Sean mad at me again for spending money we don't have. The look of disappointment and betrayal in his face is that of a golden retriever puppy that's just been told it can't go for a walk. So just to avoid that, I'll be a martyr and suffer just to see a happy puppy. I feel a bit bad about snapping at him earlier for something so small I can't even remember. Maybe on the way home I can pick him up some... Fuck! Did I actually just step in a puddle? Of course I did. Of course I now have a soaking wet, soggy sock clinging to the inside of my shoe. Of course. To me, there is nothing on this earth worse than having a wet sock inside of a wet shoe. Maybe I should make a game out of my misery. I drink for every time I feel sad, angry, or hard done to. If that was the case, I'd be in hospital before breakfast. I'd say staying up all night because of anxiety-inducing nightmares and selfish cats that, like me, believe every hour of the day is feeding time, would be worth 4 shots of vodka. I'm terribly hungry despite being fed a little over 3 hours ago. I may as well go and jump on my human's bladder, making them love and want to feed me even more. Purr, purr, purr. Never have I hated my cats more than last night. If we had a dog, then this wouldn't have happened, but Mr. I'm not willing to break the rules Brady refuses. Well, I hope when he is woken up tonight by Bubbles, he remembers that he brought it upon himself. I'm almost there. In roughly 3 minutes, I will be sitting uncomfortably on the devil's spawn, peddling the rain off my clothes and trying not to reveal that my muddy trainer sock is indeed posing as a swimming pool, whilst the slightly squint cup inside of my uterus is filling like an hourglass. Time is almost up. Finally, the red shows for cars to stop and I can cross over. I call this walk my awkward chicken, somewhere between a fast walk and a run, never allowing enough time to make them look normal and ultimately wasting more time than if I just committed to one. I could run down the hill and be exactly on time, but I'm not going to do that to myself. I've been through enough today. Running would only give the sinister asshole universe another win. But now it's Universe 100, Jade 1. I can see my bloated reflection in the window of planet strength, a sight no one wants or needs to see. In the background, I can see weights that not even in my dreams I'll be able to lift with my weak, spaghetti-looking arms. Beads of sweat are dripping down my red, hot face, as if my body is prematurely crying from the trauma it's about to experience. David is approaching the door. Quick, be calm and smile. Hey, how are ya? And smile. Perfect, he'll never know. Hey Jade, I'm good. How are you doing? Ready for some personal bests today? Poor David, already setting himself up for disappointment. Yeah, definitely, let's do it. Now smile again. That's the spirit, Jade. You'll smash it anyway, and I'm excited to see what you can do today. We're going to meet your goals in no time. Oh, and by the way, we're not going to do the air bike today. I can see you've warmed up on the way here. Good job. David's voice was genuine and excitable. This time, I didn't need to tell myself to smile. The end. What do you think of that one? It's far too intimate of a insight into my brain and my thoughts. Very me. But let me know what you thought, if you liked it, what you would change, if you wouldn't change. And let's go to the next one. Now, this next one is called Disconnected. Disconnected is well, I don't even really know how to describe it. It's based on Among Us. just going to read it because it's something else. But I got very into writing this one, so it's a bit longer. But here we go. You ready? Please don't be dead. Please don't be dead. Please don't be dead. But I was too late. My eyes were still getting used to the darkness, but even I was sure I could see Blue's pelvis was penetrating through his blood-soaked hazmat suit. His once athletic torso was torn from his legs, tossed to the side as if he was a dirty hoodie on a teenager's bedroom floor. The bloody metallic smell filled my nostrils, and my stomach threatened to release this morning's bacon and eggs all over the killer's art. Reaching for my pager, I sent Code Blue to the crew, and I struggled along the desolate corridors towards the ship's cafeteria, praying I was safe from whatever happened to Blue. Red, what happened? Professor Brown asked quietly. Did you see anyone at all? At all? Repeated Dr. Yellow. A finger length from my face. Looking around, all I could see was fear, panic, and stress on my crewmates' faces. We're not safe. They need to let us out. I'd never seen Pink so angry. My breakfast churned like butter in a barrel. Behind me, Dr. Orange was sitting at a cafeteria table writing numbers on a napkin, furiously. From here, I could make out 9:27 written over and over again. The time Professor Purple's body was found this morning. Apparently, his feet were where his hand should be, and vice versa. But I never saw anything. I was ironically clocking in for the day. Little did I know what awaited me. Dr. Orange found him. Those two never really saw eye to eye. But I think he's pretty torn up about it. The thing about working at Innersloth Science Inc. is that if there's anything that can destroy the company's reputation, they'll do their best to hide it. So when the big boss back on Earth found out that one of their most loyal skilled crewmates were found dead in the comms room, they thought that locking us in with a killer was clearly the best course of action. Realistically, if we all die, then we can't talk to the media. I can't say I wouldn't have done it if I was in their shoes. So what do we do about the power? We can't just go back to work. I'm not living my last moments cleaning leaves out of a vent. I want to go home. Pink's eyes were glistening. Her safety goggles collected the tears as they subtly escaped her ducts. I say we just stay here. It's the only place with light, and if we stick together, then no one can get hurt, Professor Brown suggested calmly. Yeah, you'd like that, wouldn't you? Pick us off one by one, and probably shove us out the airlock. Professor Brown gave no attention to Dr. Yellow's words. Or maybe you'll cook us up, have a nice tasty meal for all your hard work slicing us up, he accused, sounding like he'd lost his last 2 brain cells. Professor Brown acted like he never heard him, and sat with Dr. Orange at the circular cafe table. Pink was pacing. She never was good in difficult situations. She was always crying or fidgeting or crying even more. She's been a technician for half the time I have, and I think she's broken the record for most emotional outbursts compared to all of us combined. Some people just aren't cut out for real work. I decided to subtract myself from the bubble of lost intelligence that Dr. Yellow and Pink had so kindly entrapped me in, and I walked over to the empty seat next to Dr. Orange. My curiosity was killing me. Why was he writing the same thing over and over again? He won't talk. I've tried communicating with him in multiple ways, Professor Brown said, looking defeated. It wasn't often that the professor failed, but when he did, it was as if someone had killed one of his beloved plants in front of him. He doesn't have many friends, and I certainly wasn't going to be one of them. But he has lots of plants. I remember when Professor Purple first came onto the ship. Professor Brown was the most excited I'd ever seen him. Well, except for the time he grew his own coffee bean in Polis soil. The excitement of a new professor lasted about 0.2 seconds though, probably because he realised that Professor Purple was there to ensure his entire life's work could be automatically monitored by machines. It just so happens to be a few weeks later that Professor Purple is now conveniently dead. It's a no-brainer, if you ask me. Dr. Orange was still writing, and Professor Brown just watched, studying him like one of his experiments. I could see the concentration in his eyes. Every theory of Dr. Orange's spiral was crossing his mind. Dr. Yellow was actually being a decent human being for once, and was trying to console Pink. Listening, I could hear "it'll all be over soon" come from Dr. Yellow's mouth. What will be over soon? Why will it be over soon? What does he know? What will be over soon? I asked accusingly. What? Puzzled Yellow, confused. Of course, he didn't understand. The airhead didn't seem to know anything. I said, what will be over soon? Dr. Yellow was a Jim is life kind of guy. So when he sauntered over to me with his chest puffed like an ape that had just been challenged for the last banana, I felt a little intimidated. He couldn't do anything to me though, not with all these witnesses. It's all got to end sometime. We can't just be expected to sit here counting down the minutes until we're left for the janitors like Blue or Purple. I wasn't buying it. I'm surprised you could count anything at all, Professor Brown mocked, without taking his eyes off Dr. Orange. Good one, at least I'm actually a doctor. You're just a freak that looks after pet plants. In fact, you can't even do that right, so they've built a machine to... Is that the O2? What's happening? His voice changed from bitter to scared in a matter of seconds. The klaxon screamed for action. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, what do we do? Pink was pacing. We need to get together. We need to go together to both oxygen generators and put the security code in. That should reset the alarm and override any shutdown initiations, I chimed in, feeling like the only voice of reason. Right, you, Professor Freak, and Dr. Mental Case over there go to the left generator in Pink, and I will go to the right. Meet back here as soon as you hear the alarms go off. Does anyone have a torch? Dr. Yellow looked around the room hopefully, but none of us responded. Right, well, stick together and get back here as fast as possible. Let's go. I admit, I'm officially scared. I'm walking through dark, dreary corridors with two potential murderers in an attempt to find the oxygen generator, so that we don't all die on this stupid ship. Are you both still there? I'm scared. I'm scared. I'm scared. Yeah, we're here. I have Dr. Orange's hand. I can hold yours too if you consent. Professor Brown is so weird. But I really don't want to get abandoned on this place. Sure, but don't get too excited from probably the only time you'll hold a girl's hand. I joked to lighten the mood. Okay, it's in this room here. I know the code off by heart, so I'll punch it in, and as soon as our alarm goes off, we'll leave, okay? After I heard they agreed, I brought up the keypad and used the red flashing light as my means of seeing the numbers. I was terrified. You only get 3 attempts, and then it requests a code that only the brightest at Innersloth get trusted with, and I wasn't one of them. Right. 59824. Enter. Oh no. 59842. Enter. Oh god. What is it again? It's got to be 59822. Oxygen depleting. Oxygen depleting. Oxygen. I hit enter and the voice stopped. Oh, thank God. Okay, hold my hand. I reached out in the general direction of where I left Professor Brown and Dr. Orange, and we headed back to the cafeteria in silent relief. The light of the cafeteria blessed my eyes, and I could finally see where I was stepping. We beat Dr. Yellow back, heading over to the circular table. I feel a tap on my shoulder. Dr. Orange was panicking, and Professor Brown was nowhere to be seen. "Get away from me. What'd you do to him? Where is he?" My words were fierce, and my voice was loud. "What happened?" Dr. Yellow came from the lower entrance without Pink. "Where's Pink? Are you both in on this? What's going on?" I felt a rush of emotions flow through my body and exit through my eyes. I'm going to die. There is no one answering me. Why is no one answering me? I'm going to die. I'm going to die. I'm going to die. Dr. Orange pointed at Yellow, fear in his eyes, tears running down his face. What? What is it? Just talk, you mental case, Dr. Yellow erupted. I saw it on the right sleeve of his spacesuit, a red mark of death. Yellow was guilty. He looked down and saw what our focus was on and immediately put two and two together. I didn't do it. His act was good, but we're not falling for it. I think we should put him out the airlock. What do you think? I looked over to Dr. Orange and he nodded profusely. No, I didn't do it. It's clearly Dr. Silent over there. Don't you think it's weird how he won't talk? He's in your head. I didn't believe a word that came from his mouth. Look, what if I stay here? You can use the cables from the broken vending machine and tie me to the pole of the table, and when you find Professor Brown and Pink, you'll see I'm innocent. Yellow pleaded. I must admit, it was clever, and if we tie him by our standards, there is zero chance he can escape. What do you think? I turned and asked Dr. Orange. He looked unsure, but nodded anyway. Fine, I allowed, securing him tightly to the table leg and checking it at least 3 times. We're going to find the others. If you move at all, then you better hope you can escape before I throw you out the airlock. You hear me? Terrified, he nodded. Dr. Orange and I started through the increasingly claustrophobic corridors with fleeting hope that our crewmates would still be alive. It was starting to feel like we'd never see them. I know he's guilty. I just hope we haven't lost the others. Dr. Orange was holding onto my hand so tight you'd think he was a woman in labour. The poor guy has been traumatised. I always knew Dr. Yellow was narcissistic. I just never thought it would amount to something so grotesque and vulgar. Dr. Orange started to squeeze harder, and I couldn't take the pain any longer. Hey, stop that, it hurts. I know you're scared, but... Oh my god. Dr. Orange is frozen stiff with fear, looking at what appeared to be Professor Brown's severed head dangling from his neck, hanging on with only spine. His body was draped over the metal ceiling vent, lifeless and limp. I vomited. Death haunted my senses. I vomited again. Yellow goes, now. Running back to the cafeteria, my jelly legs could barely keep up with Dr. Orange. All I could think about was, what if it was me? I regret every bad thing I've ever said or thought about Professor Brown and Pink. The guilt is swallowing me up as if I was a fly landing in the mouth of Brown's favourite Venus flytrap, Betsy. The cafeteria light blinding my vision for a few seconds until my eyes adjusted to see Dr. Yellow was gone. No, this can't be happening, I wailed. I noticed Dr. Orange's eyes drift to the corner of the ceiling. The red light on the camera blinked slowly. With a mutual understanding, we slowly stalked through the shadows that lurk in the hallway until we found the security room. The glow from the fuzzy static displayed on the screens filled the room, and to the left of the control panel was a tablet with vitals check that had each crewmate's picture and physical status. It was heartbreaking seeing disconnected in big red letters under Professor Purple, Brown and Blue's photos. Oh, oh, look, Pink is still alive. Thank God. She must be terrified. Let's see if we can find her on the cameras. A glimmer of hope in my voice. Flicking through each of the cameras, it was clear my luck was only temporary. Half the ship is too dark to see, and some of the cameras aren't live. We might not find her, Orange. The shock of seeing 2 dead bodies today must have really shaken Dr. Orange, because he was quieter than ever. Acid burned the inside of my throat as I attempted to keep down the last bit of breakfast that might be in there, as I pictured the mutilated corpses I once called crewmates. I couldn't do this anymore. My distracted mind leads my eyes to the small, circular port window above the monitors, and I stared at something peculiar. Squinting my eyes, I could make out what I thought was a human hand, as grey as Earth's moon and frozen into shape. The weird object floated, revealing its cruel, twisted nature as it drifted further into space. Oh my God, I screamed with utter disbelief and horror as Dr. Yellow's cadaver floated further into the dark abyss until I could barely make out he was a person at all. As I watched the body drift into the stars, the tablet flashed red with warning of his death. Dr. Yellow was disconnected. I turned toward my crewmate. Dr. Orange, it's... But I was too late. His body lay mutilated on the floor and blood-stained his once crisp white spacesuit. In front of me, Pink stood with a smirk. Her suit speckled with red. Her stance was inhuman, and for the first time, I'd seen her as confident. I couldn't talk for fear. As if in slow motion, Pink's midriff burst into 2 halves, opening like a mouth. Rimming the flesh were teeth the size of rulers. Saliva trickled down the remains of her suit. Urine warmed my legs, and I could feel it reach my sock. Normally, a wet sock would be enough to ruin my day, but I decided to make an exception. I could see Professor Brown's glove wedged between 2 teeth as if it was a piece of spinach getting stuck after lunch. The human skin she wore slipped to the floor like a piece of clothing. She smelled worse than death itself, but my stomach was too empty to add to the art she had created. I didn't even notice the tongue-like spike that impaled my heart. The last thing I saw was the tablet displaying disconnected under my photo. I did warn you it was different. I had a lot of fun doing that story because I played a lot of Among Us, and I just felt really creative when making it, but the ending stressed me out a lot, and I don't know if I really like the ending. I tried to make it as sensical as possible, but when you have characters all named after colours and you have more than 2 or 3 characters, it's really difficult to do. So let me know if it made sense. Let me know if you didn't expect the ending or if you managed to figure it out. I'd be very interested to know. Okay, so that's my stories, and I hope this video was enjoyable, or relaxing, or entertaining, or fun. I hope it was something positive, and if you enjoyed hearing my stories, do let me know, because I will write more and I will read them out again if you really do like them. Potentially in the future I could create a story specifically for ASMR. That would be really cool, and I could even add sound effects and backgrounds. That would be probably quite a fun project to do. I hope my disconnected story didn't scare you too much. and let me know in the comments all of your thoughts on each of the stories. If you fell asleep, or what your favourite part was, your favourite character, what your least favourite one was, and the opposite as well. I want to hear all kinds of feedback because I want to get better at writing. I really enjoy writing, so yeah, just a quick little story time and an insight into my strange brain. I hope you have a peaceful sleep, or a peaceful day, or just a nice rest, whatever you're doing today. I hope it's nice, happy, and relaxing.